Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Movie Guide 2005. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, full playthrough, tier list ranking, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And this is for John Carpenter's The Thing, a re-review for that, which I'm happy to do because I love the film, happily talk about it whenever, however I can, and it's just a classic. Now, to backtrack, the first time I ever heard of this film, there was a book, and I have my phone here to show, because sadly I don't think I have the book anymore, or if I do it's pretty torn apart, but it was this book here, Fangoria's Best Horror Films, and you see there's Michael Myers, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, Chucky, Pinhead, Gremlins. And it was a decently thick book, hardcover book. And it was around 1990, 1991 it came out, because I think it talked about Misery, Silence of the Lambs, but then we talked about older films as well. And it showed a picture from The Thing, which was the Norse picture. The creature that came out of the stomach after the defibrillators. And that one image just stuck with me for years. Because the film was not available anywhere to rent where I grew up. I mean, the places to rent movies would be gas stations or a bigger grocery store in Iowa like Hy-Vee. Well, actually, technically it'd be Minnesota because we were close. My family was close to the border in northern Iowa back in the day. So it wasn't until in Minnesota there was this store named On Q. Now, I'm not sure how best to describe it, but it was a store that had a lot of movies, VHS, DVDs, clothing, that had, movies or bands on it, CDs, magazines, etc. And that was my favorite store growing up. Anytime we went to get groceries, I always begged my mom, "Listen, can we go to the store?" That's how I found the VHS of Dawn of the Dead. That's how I found a lot of other movies, including this film on VHS. Now on the VHS, of course, the poster, it doesn't spoil anything. And in the back of the VHS, it's a picture of Kurt Russell, who I knew from Tango and Cash at that point. And then there was a picture of someone on fire. So it didn't really show a whole lot. But I still remember that picture from that book from back in the day. So my mom was nice enough to get me the VHS tape, watched it, and was blown away. So many times my jaw would drop, and I would rewind the VHS tape, like every transformation scene. I'm like, especially the bit with the dog and the face splits apart. I'm like, or the defibrillator and then the Norse creature. I'm like, it just was amazing to me. And some people asked me what's my favorite horror film of all time. Now, films that do have elements of horror, it would be movies like Aliens is an action movie, but there's little elements of horror. Same with Predator, Predator 2. There's little elements of horror. A childhood favorite of mine is Leviathan, which is pretty much The Thing if it was underwater, or Alien if it was underwater. If the Alien and The Thing were underwater, pretty much. But I love Leviathan. But like pure horror, one of the choices I would say is this film, John Carpenter's The Thing. Because it's the closest you could get to a perfect horror movie. And with, how tough it was to make the film because of the conditions of the cold, John Carpenter, who had done Halloween, is Thief from New York, getting a big studio like Universal to back it. It's kind of a remake of The Thing from Another World, but it's more based on the original story, Who Goes There. Because The Thing from Another World in the 50s, it was a kind of a carrot monster. It was a monster, and it would be kind of compared to vegetables and stuff. A plant-like creature, even though it's a humanoid form. But I like The Thing from Another World. That's one of my favorite 50s movies. I quite enjoy that film. In fact, I like to rewatch that film again sometime, because I really do like that movie. I like the dialogue, I like the characters. I haven't seen it in a while, but I do like The Thing from Another World in the 50s. That, them, the big killer ant, which is funny, if you watch that, there's a lot of moments that remind you of Aliens. But yeah, those are two films I like to rewatch sometime. Just, anyway, different time, but those are enjoyable movies. But this one really brought an edge to it, with a wonderful cast, spectacular special effects, a moody score by Ennio Morricone with that John Carpenter flavor on it, and great cinematography. You feel isolated at the outpost. All the actors do a good job. There's not a whole lot of time to develop the characters, but you get a sense of who they are, and whether it be you have the guy who's more in tune with the dogs, you have the guy, Palmer, who likes to smoke weed and just relax. You have the Knowles, who roller skates everywhere, and he's the cook. You have Wilford Brimley, who's the guy kind of realizing that this is a situation that none of us are going to make it out of, and we need to stop anyone from leaving. To the leader, played by Mr. Moffat, who is the leader, but he's in over his head. To Keith David. To, of course, Kurt Russell as R.J. MacReady. All the actors work very well with each other. Nobody kind of gets left or lost and forgotten, which is a very tough act to get everybody involved when you have like 12 or so people. And from the beginning with the music and how subtle it is. Bum bum. Bum bum. It's like the heartbeat of a horror film is that theme. And the fact that the Razzies nominated that score for Worst Score of the Year in 1982 is one of the worst fucking nominations that could ever get, that organization could ever give to someone or something or someone. Like, really? You think this score was bad? Get the fuck out of here, Razzies. You know what? Go home, you drunk. Fuck off. It's a great score. The atmosphere is a sense of dread from the very beginning. The dog, it's supposed to be a wolf, but it's a dog, because I don't think you can really train wolves. You have a dog that looks like a wolf, but you can't really train wolves from what I understand. And could be wrong on that, but that's what I've been told. But yeah, could be wrong. But I think the dog was called Jed. Even he was a good actor. There's that one moment during the hallway where it kind of stops, looks, stops, walks over here, stops, closes his mouth, takes a pause, and then goes in the room without ever looking at the camera or the people behind the camera. How the hell that happened, I don't know, but that's pretty damn remarkable. And the suspense and tension and the idea that this thing could copy you perfectly. Do you even know if you're the thing or not, if you've been copied so perfectly? Who's the thing, who's not the thing? And when I first saw the film, I didn't know who was the thing and who was not. That scene with the dog, and I see the shadow, I thought it looked kind of like the character of Palmer with the hair. That would be my guess. But the other people I didn't know. And even then I wasn't sure about that with Palmer, that character. But yeah, so much of the cast just worked so well together. And so much of the movie... I mean, so many people talked about the film. I kind of wonder what more I could bring to the table. Like the fact of, from the very beginning, where you have this group of people and they're just enjoying their day and they see this weird situation of this guy trying to shoot this dog and you wonder what the hell's going on. And you get that first bit of violence where the leader has to shoot the guy and it goes right into the guy's eyeball. All the little things that add up to a great big package. All these Swedes. Not Swedes, Matt, they're Norwegian. That always made me laugh. Caruso's crazy hat that he wears when he pilots the helicopter. I thought that was a fun touch. Him getting pissed at the chess, cheating on him. I thought that was really funny. I think it's actually Adrienne Barbeau, who's the voice of the computer, who was in Escape from New York and The Fog, because I think she was married to John Carpenter at the time. So yeah, the voice of the computer is Adrienne Barbeau. And MacReady's like, "You cheating bitch." Breaks the computer. The chess game. Seeing the aftermath of the Norwegian outpost, and your mind can kind of fill in the blanks as to what happened, what could have happened, why is this axe in the door, what are these like two heads kind of merged together, who is this, the guy that slit his own throat. Because we really needed a theme prequel to explain all that shit, which was so stupid. That's an awful fucking movie, the theme prequel. Pre-made, pre-time, awful fucking movie. Like, you don't need it, because this already tells the whole story. You could figure the rest out yourself. And then as the story goes on, and weird things are happening, and again, you don't know who's the thing or who's not. There's a good sense of suspense. And again, all these actors, like Wilford Brimley, with the old school computer that looks like playing a weird game of asteroids, but showing the assimilation, how quick it goes, how fast it could go, and take over the population. There's bits of him I remember when he's going crazy, he's got the gun. "Don't you understand that they want to be us? Come on, you don't want to hurt anybody. I kill you." And that guy beat the hell out of him and locked him. "Noise, I hear weird noises out here. It's not Clark, do you hear me?" And there's a bit where they see him where after they've locked him up, and he's got a fucking noose hanging like nearby his fucking, and that touch makes you think about the character's mindset, and was he wondering if he was the thing and he was going to hang himself but he didn't, or like a last resort, or like it make you think on stuff. T.K. Carter, which I remember he was in Southern Comfort, which is another good film. He, as Knowles the cook, remember we're at war with Norway. And he's one of the few people you don't see get killed. He does get killed. I think they were going to shoot it because there are, I think, storyboards. But it just never happened. I mean, granted, I was always curious as to what exactly happened to him. But I guess, in the film, is that great reveal of Caruso's talking to him, and then kind of reaction of, "Oh shit, I'm alone. There's nobody else here." And he's got the dynamite, he's got the other stuff. David Clennon as Palmer. I thought he's a lot of fun. Chief David, always enjoyed Chief David, whether it was in They Live, this film. He was the lead voice in the cartoon Gargoyles, Spawn, the animated series, of course. He had a big role in that film Volcano. Always great to see Chief David. always brings a sense of that presence to it. Charles Hallahan as Norris, who has the best transformation slash, I don't know what to call it, death scene, but transformation scene. He has the best one. And he would actually work with Kurosawa again in Executive Decision, which I'm not a fan of. Richard Masur, who was the dad in License to Drive with Corey Haim. He was in Stephen King's It, the 1991, as one of the adults. He plays the dog handler. Donald Moffat as the commander, the leader, but again, he's in over his head. Thomas Waits from The Warriors, who plays Windows, that I feel bad for because he's always trying for the radio and they keep giving him shit. He's like, I can't do anything. And then the damn flamethrower won't work and he's just caught and dragged around. He's the guy that usually gets the short end of the stick. And it happens even before his death. He gets the short end of the fucking stick. And the film just does a lot of interesting stuff. It really gets that tension and suspense. When the effects happen, Rob Bottin, who had worked on The Howling, I know Stan Winston did one bit of the effects, but the rest of it was Rob Bottin, and apparently, whether stress or drugs or both, it really took a toll on Rob Bottin, but he did a masterful job. And the fact that this film was not nominated or winning special makeup effects is ridiculous to me. I know E.T. won, but this deserved to win over E.T. I think if I asked that question, who do you think should have won? The Thing or E.T. for makeup effects? I think most people would say The Thing. The fact it didn't, I don't even think it got nominated, is totally ridiculous. It's insane to me. But the Oscars have always been worth no iotas of shits. It's always been worthless. Fuck the Oscars. Back then and nowadays. Fuck the Oscars. And again, the cast does a great job. The score, each transformation scene, whether it be Bennings and he's the body sitting there and he hasn't turned all the way and his hand's still there. He gives out creepy roar and they burn him. To, I think, Norris, like the defibrillators and biting the doctor's arms off and then the crazy thing coming out. You're like, what the fuck? And then the guy's actual head slowly coming out. You see these green, like, vegetable pustules come out and slowly go to the ground, and his tongue wraps around and drags. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Holy shit, what the fuck is all this? It's mind-blowing. I would maintain these are the best special effects, makeup effects we've ever seen. I do. I really do maintain that. The thought process. I mean, it's fantastic. Even the bit with Palmer and, you know, the things are bubbling out of his neck and this weird, like, configuration of a face and these tentacles, and each one is different and each one is unique. And it's goopy and it's gory and it's just memorable, very memorable. Once in a while there's a sense of humor, and people don't mention a lot, but there are times this movie is rather funny on purpose. I mean, my favorite part is when they see the head crab thing and Palmer goes, "You gotta be fucking kidding." Great timing, great way that David Clennon said that. There's a lot of good sequences, even without the effects. There's the blood test scene, of course. Granted, I think they all used a knife, so if one was infected, wouldn't they all technically be infected? Because if they all kept using the knife, I don't know if wiping it would be enough. Because if you do it, then even if you just wipe it, if you give it to someone else, if there's any cell when they get infected and be the thing, I don't know. Unless there was, everyone had a different knife, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't know why, as simple as just cutting along here, which is just they push a tube. But I think just sometimes those small things that get you, like a fingernail or something else, like, or a paper cut. I think because we don't see ourselves being in the middle of, our heads exploding because of the thing, but we just see ourselves doing something in a paper cut, or you've had a paper cut, so you know the feeling, or every day, like you do something with your fingernail, and maybe you cut too close, or you try to take it off, but this one goes a little bit sideways, and you just feel that pain. So it's that instinctual that your body like remembers. So sometimes the little things that get you. What was I going to say? Another funny bit with Donald Moffat. Like, I know you guys have been through a lot, but I don't want to spend the rest of this season tied to this fucking couch. So, and even the ending, like, I'm not usually in for downbeat endings, but this one I thought, I wouldn't call it down, I mean it is, but I would call it more of a question mark. Is one of them the thing? Is both of them the thing? Are both of them human? It's just an interesting way to end it. And I don't know, I thought John Carpenter just handled it the right way with the way the actors played it off, the little laugh Russell has, letting the audience sink in to what's going on, and then you have the rubble and fire, and then kind of the panning, and then the titles, and then it's up to you. It's not some weird, it's not some cheap shot thing, and then you don't even give me time to let it sink in. I think Carpenter lets it sink in. Oh, man. And lets you breathe a little bit, sink it in, and then you get to the end credits. I think that helps a lot too. Now, I swear I remember John Carpenter saying at one point they shot another ending where Kurt Russell was back and they did the test, and then he was fine. Now again, I thought Carpenter had said they shot that. If so, that would be one of those holy grail scenes to see. Maybe a short scene, but I guess either A, they never shot it, and I'm misremembering what I heard, or B, that's just lost to time. But that would be if that was shot, that would be an interesting scene to see. But yeah, maybe I just heard it wrong. But yeah, when the film came out, it bombed badly. I mean, films like E.T. made it so that the world wanted to love an alien, while this one grossed them out. But I don't hate E.T. I've never hated E.T., but E.T. is one of those films I never go back to watch. I don't mind the film, but I've never been like, you know what, I'm going to go pop in E.T. And I don't think I'm alone in that. You never really hear anybody talk about E.T. You never hear anyone talk about E.T. And I guess it is interesting because E.T. was so popular at the time. And I said, when was the last time someone even mentioned E.T. in any way? But I always hear someone mention The Thing. So I think at the time, it didn't do well, but in the long run, The Thing is going to be more fondly remembered than E.T. It's strange how those things work out. But it's sad what happened at the time, because John Carpenter got the worst reviews, some of the worst reviews he ever had in his career. They said it was a pornographer of violence. One critic says he should go direct traffic instead of movies, which I'm like, fuck you, asshole. This is probably the same critics that fucking give this film a 5 out of 5 nowadays, but they were shitting on it back then. And when this film bombed, Kurt Russell got fired. John Carpenter got fired from Firestarter. So then eventually he took Christine, another Stephen King adaptation. Starman he did the show. Well, he did do a good Alien movie too, and even Starman I like more than E.T. But yeah, it hurt his career. It was a big bomb for Universal. He was persona non grata. And you gotta think, like, you did the best that you could. You made a fantastic movie, and the critics and audiences shit on it, and it flopped. And got no recognition for its achievements that it deserved. I'd be pissed too. I mean, that's why sometimes I can understand why John Carpenter is so grumpy nowadays because of that shit. Same thing happened to Big Trouble in Little China. And I mean, how many times do you gotta be punched in the face before you go, I'm pissed off, fuck this shit? But at the same time, you know, that doesn't justify all of John Carpenter's grumpy ass behavior. Sometimes it is what it is. So I'm looking at this thing here. So one alternate ending of the thing was never filmed, but the writer had them both turn to the thing. Alternate ending once again shows MacReady being rescued by the helicopters in the spring. He takes a blood test, much like the ones the crew takes in the final film. Proves that MacReady is not a thing, that he's able to put his worries behind him and re-enter society. Carpenter says stylistically it would have been cheesy. So it says here it was filmed, and Carpenter admits it was filmed, but that'd be the one thing I would like to see, just out of curiosity. I would like to see that. I doubt it'll ever be found. It's probably long gone, forgotten, and thrown away, but man, that would be nice to see, though. That would have been cool to see. And they did comic books, and I have some of the comics. Those were cool. One comic book series was a sequel to this movie, where MacReady and Russell T. David, they're going through the snow, and there's a submarine. There's I forget who in the military are there, and eventually they wake up on the submarine. But then people went to the outpost, get infected, and shit starts again. And then there's a sequel to that called The Climate of Fear, where it takes place in the jungle, which I thought was an interesting location. And you had the Kurt Russell character, so that was cool. So, in my eyes, that's what happened afterward. Those comic books. Which I wish they had done that for the video game. Now, I did play the video game. That was a request. Pixel... I can't believe I forgot his fucking name. Well, you know, more quickly, I wrote it down in the thing PS4. I don't know if he still watches, because I haven't heard from him, but Nick's Pixel World, 7 months ago. I've never heard from him again. When I uploaded, I played it again a second time to see if I could do better. And I beat it in 4.5 hours instead of the 8 hours. And he left a nice comment, but I never heard from him since, so I hope he's doing okay. But that was very nice of him. Because I remember playing that on PlayStation 2, and I like the game for what it is. It has its flaws. But I do like the Thing game. I'm glad it was on the PS4. It was fun to play it on that way, so I liked the game. A fun but flawed game, as I put it. But I kind of wish they went with the story of those comic books, where you're playing as MacReady, and you're going through the other stuff, but, it is what it is. So the game was fun, but flawed. There were comic books. There was a prequel. I know at one point John Carpenter wanted to do a sequel. I think it was going to be like for Sci-Fi Channel or something. I don't know. But that never came about. At one point, Carpenter was interested in a sequel. I think he was going to bring back Caruso and Keith David, and Frostbite would hide their aging, I think was the idea. I'd be curious to see what that would have came about. But, it is what it is. And then they did the prequel in 2011 that I saw in the theater for some reason, and it was an awful fucking piece of shit movie. Waste of time seeing the theater, and waste of time thinking about it now. But, yeah, John Carpenter's The Thing is a fantastic film, and still holds up to this day. Still has the great acting, that tension. Interesting, that there's no women in the film except the voice of that computer. So that was different from the usual. I mean, other than a few technology things like the computer graphics, the rest of it doesn't date that much. And the actors pull off, and like I said, the effects still hold up very well. Yeah, when the last creature, you see a little bit of the stop motion, because they don't want to do more stop motion, but they only did the little bit where it breaks out of the floor. Which I like stop motion, but I did it, and the practical effects were still really good. How I even like that bit with Wilford Brimley gets the guy, and his fingers are in the guy's cheeks. It's that one shot too where you realize he's dragging the guy, and the guy's face has been like stretched. I went, ooh. Of course, you have the great line by Caruso, "Fuck you too." Very, very damn good movie. Very good film. So what more can be said? So thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks once again to Movie Guy 2005, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.